On today's episode of the Rainmaker Podcast, we're going to discuss why online communities are the new currency, how you can leverage Facebook by building a community that generates new clients for your business by becoming the value added expert. Let's get started. Welcome to the Rainmaker Podcast, where we help business-minded real estate agents stop chasing leads and help them start attracting business. We don't claim to make winners here. We do claim that we help winners win bigger and faster. Building your business is building your database, one that works harder for you than you do for it. So if you want to get off the transaction treadmill, keep on listening. If you want the shortcut to dominating your market, then go to www.marketmakersystems.com/demo. All right, Oddo, how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. Glad to be here. Glad to talk about this particular topic. It's exciting, and it's really easy, and it's no cost other than a bit of time for people to implement, and it really adds a lot of value. You know, I'm a member of a lot of groups like this that we're talking about today.
Oh yeah, what kind of groups?
I just joined one right now on the call. I was telling my cousin he's in the PWC business. He sells personal watercrafts, and I was like, man, you need to get a group together. You need to get a group around PWC owners in the Midwest. And so I'm scrolling through my Facebook feed, and I get something about Lake of the Ozarks boaters, some giant community. So I just own it and jump on it and sent a copy to him. It's just incredible, really, what you can do with today's technology. And like I said, it just adds value.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one thing I think that's been obvious is that, you know, there's a lot of different benefits, but you know, one of the things I think that the natural human tendency is to be a part of a community, and so man, you know, there's a couple things I would do if I were someone listening to today's podcast. If you're wanting to grow your business, generate more leads, or maybe help people on your team generate more leads, I think having them establish a community is definitely extremely very effective. Now, one thing that I know that you could do is you could start by just starting with a neighborhood community. You can do neighborhood, city. You can do around a cause. If it were me specifically, I'd probably lean towards the city, where we would highlight neighborhoods. But anyway, because one of the things that I'm not saying that I wouldn't do, just for the record, I'm not saying that I wouldn't do a neighborhood, because I absolutely would. You can link groups and pages and all of those types of things. But the point is that in those, I could repurpose my content. And so one thing that I think people have to fundamentally understand is that this is still content consumption. A community is just a way to position your content, so it's not looked at as what you would consider like an advertisement. And also, if you do a community really right, you can name a community in a way where you actually build subscribers and people who pay you with their attention by listening and joining. And so some of the best things that you can do is name the community based upon what you know is the ideal or core desire of your target market. So if your target market is to help someone moving or selling in a neighborhood, then, you know, one of the things that you could do is you could, you know, name the community that you have about that neighborhood. So I think, for instance, there's a neighborhood close to mine called Shattuck Creek Estates, and I think the gentleman who's a big time real estate professional who's done a great job on that community put a community, why living in Shattuck Creek Estates rocks. And he literally has a picture of him and a bunch of the neighbors in the community on Halloween, all dressed up like rock stars in front of his house, which is obviously a house in the community because a lot of the houses have similar structure, elevations, you know, it just looks like that house is straight out of there. Not only to mention it's one of the first houses you pull into the neighborhood, so it's highly recognizable. But the point is he posts everything in there, and that's the point. It's consumption. You want to provide and create content and create a community where other people create content, valuable content. And man, I can share a bunch of different stuff because this is probably one of the things that I'm most fascinated about, with the opportunity for real estate agents to create not only business, but do it where they're working with high quality people who are predisposed to do business with them.
Yeah, not to mention, I really think that it's something that is just a valuable asset. That once you've done it, it's yours. I mean, the first time I was exposed to this, I was touring a real estate office who were some clients, and I was just checking out some of their different tech, and I was there for a totally different purpose. But the agents kept coming up to me and showing me these Facebook groups they were doing and these landing pages they were creating within them, and how they were getting all these free leads and this free traffic, and how they were converting those leads in a consistent manner, and why they loved this. And I was kind of blown away. I mean, I really didn't think about it from that angle until that day. And I think that the key is not just banging them over the head with offers and advertisements, like you said, adding content that's of value and that's relevant. And I think getting the neighbors to do that as well. If there's a garage sale, if there's a community event, I mean, once you have other people posting content, I think you nailed it.
Yeah. So here's kind of what I look at. I manage a couple online communities, and what it allows me to do is build deeper relationships. But one thing you want to do is when you start a community, and I'll give you a couple I'll give you a couple ideas here in a second. But when you start a community, you want to know specifically that there's there's a balance, right? You're going to think of the community almost like a football game. Like, imagine you invited everybody over to your house to watch a football game, and this is a good analogy. I just came up with it, but it's I think it's going to be a good one. But like, imagine everybody comes to your house to watch a football game, and you played, and then everyone got around the TV, and then you turned on tennis, right? Like, that wouldn't be cool. People would be like, what are we here? Yeah, and that's the point, is that people need to know about the community, what it represents, what it stands for, and they literally have to buy into it. And then there needs to be some congruency. And when you set up a community, you have an ability to set up what it's about. And so if it were me, once you do that, then as an admin or an administrator or the facilitator or whatever you want to refer to yourself over the community, you can appoint other people to help be contributors that are kind of like, you can invite them to be a part of it. So let's say if I had a community, I'd find someone who was I would find the number one, if there was a lender or if there was an insurance person, if there was a stager, if there was anybody to do anything with homes, I would invite them to a breakfast, let them know the vision of the community, let them know that that I would let them be that go-to person as it relates to the community and helping me manage the community and being a contributor, because that's what you really need at the beginning. And then most importantly, you want to sit back and listen, because at the end of the day, what you want to do is you want to tap into that audience's needs, pain points, their interests, and you want to be able to adjust your overall strategy accordingly to what's going on. And you want to basically be able to build a bridge there, or just simply be able to make suggestions and add value and make them feel like, yeah, you're a realtor, or you're an expert advisor, or you're a professional real estate agent. Yeah, that's what you are. But you're also a person who lives in the neighborhood, who is an ambassador of people who live in the neighborhood, or maybe in the earlier example of football. So like, if somebody comes over to your house and you invite them over to watch football, you might want to be talking to them about football because they might be interested, and you can then connect with them. That doesn't mean that you're not going to have casual conversations and hear somebody, randomly on a commercial or something talking about, hey, I noticed you have kids. When's their birthday? Oh yeah, mine too. Have you done any? Mine's turning that same age too, or turning 16 or 5. What did you do? We're trying to come up with ideas. I mean, there's things that you can do as along conversations. I'm a part of a community that I think every agent should be a part of, which is called Next Door in my neighborhood. And so recently in the city of Frisco, there was a school that was shut down because on the last day of school, somebody had posted, written in the bathroom, that they had basically implied that they were going to do things to hurt other students. And man, that thing took off like wildfire in the neighborhood community. And it was just amazing how, so many people probably would have never known on Facebook, because if it was on Facebook, it would have just been on somebody's wall, right? Like, I have, let's say you have the average person, let's say we have 500 friends. How many of your friends live in your neighborhood that are your Facebook friends, Mike?
None.
None. So like,
None.
How many of your friends in your Facebook actually have kids going to your school?
Pretty much the same amount. None.
None. A lot of the times it might be a handful, but the point is, it might be a handful, but you're not getting high bandwidth relevant information that's shared. And so that community, what happened was that community came together, explained, parents were sharing that they were taking their kids out of school. Other parents were sharing how they had just went and made the decision that they're not. Other parents had talked about which officers they had talked to and what was going down. I mean, the information was coming. And a guy who's a number one agent here in the community where I live started a city community back about 10 years ago, sold it for millions, and I don't know the exact price, but millions of dollars. Now he's actually the mayor of Frisco, fastest growing city in the United States. He's the mayor. And he started out by creating a group called Frisco Online. When Frisco was up and running, if there was a tornado siren, shoot, you just went to Frisco Online and you could know everything. And there would be moms and car stickers and everything about Frisco Online. So, I know it's powerful. The thing that he did really well is he obviously managed the community. But what he did really, really well is he provided content to the community. And that's what I think that as the community leader, there's all different types of content that we can create. I mean, if you think about right now, like I got a hat on. The hat I have has a story. I have a watch on. The watch I have on has a story. I have a certain phone right now. There's a story to when I got this phone and how I lost my other phone, right? Like there's tons of stories that we can share. If you can learn how to dissect the lessons out of the stories that are relevant to your community and things that are happening on in your profession, and you can post those in the form of my preference would be if you're a real estate professional, there is no reason, and I'm making this declaration why you shouldn't have a blog. And a blog could have a blog in the future, is not just a blog of words. It's a blog of keywords. It's a blog of videos. It's a blog of links to your call to actions. It's called the Triangle of Trust. It is literally educating your market and doing it in a way. And so whatever you currently think about having a blog right now, whether it's a video that you have on YouTube that you put on your blog, you should have a blog and you should have subscribers. And more importantly, if you're running ads, then I'm just going to go off on a tangent here for a second. If I'm building a community inside a neighborhood, 2,000 homes, here's what I'm doing. Every FSBO is going on a hip pocket listing and going to be announced. Hey, pick your neighbor. I'm going to be the one that's going to be trying to introduce the buyers and sellers. Number two, all my property brochures in that are going to be able to tell them about properties that the potential buyers. And the thing is, if you're looking to buy in that neighborhood, I'll let you join the community as well. I would be open to that. I would actually be retargeting people who came to my site that geo did not live in the state that looked like they were looking at buying, and I would embed those on either property pages or specific landing pages that were relevant to that. I would be doing home values with custom uploaded images with the entrance to that community, or drone 15-second videos on Facebook to that community, trying to build an email list of people who know what their home want to know what their homes were worth. I'd be paying the ROTC for doing door hangers and collecting emails for people who wanted to keep up to date. And I would do a postcard on join the community with the top benefits that were I would be owning every single, if like there was a 2,000 homes in my neighborhood, I would want 1,500 emails with custom audiences that I promoted my blogs that I posted about the community. And I would be building that sucker, and I would be getting what I would call is a syndicate of other business professionals and entrepreneurs, and have them help start with providing that content. And even if my lender didn't live in the community, I would call him the trusted advisor for XYZ profession for the community, and a list of the value proposition, the things that he could do for people. I'd be interviewing the Chinese restaurant, the shoe store, every single person that did something, every new business that came in. I'd be doing 2 to 3 minute videos and informing the community about them, transcribing them, put them on the blog, and then emailing everybody who's an unconverted lead of all the benefits of why they should live in that community. And I would tell all my buyers and sellers when I went on listing appointments how I focus on that community and show them all the things that I do that nobody else does in the community, therefore that I should never lose a listing in that community.
Yeah, it really is like becoming the digital mayor, the digital president. I mean, you run the show. It's pretty amazing, and the power of it, I think, is what people don't really realize. It's funny you mentioned that guy that got offered millions of dollars. Just a small, tiny example. Our customer service manager created a small group called Springfield Now Hiring, or something to that effect. Springfield Mo Now Hiring. Anyway. He did it because we would run ads on there when we were looking for talent for the business. Somebody came and offered him several $1,000s to buy it after just a few months of the thing being up. I was shocked. I was like, take it, get the money. We'll create another one. But I don't know whatever ended up happening. It's phenomenal. It is a phenomenon. That's for sure. And I think that, you know, I, throughout this conversation, I'm wondering if my neighborhood even has one. I want to start one, even though I don't have a vested interest in the upside, just to have the control.
But you do, because you want to do a development on the back end of that.
That's true. I forgot about that. You're absolutely right.
So every one of those people would want to move into the new acreage lots, and you would control that narrative. And
Yeah,
when you
you're
put
right.
those, that would be, pick your neighbor. You would definitely, that would be an opportunity.
I just wanted to rant about the pool temperature. So, on my page, like, can you guys warm that thing up? Come on. Who else in here is cold when they're in the pool at Millwood? But that's a great point, Mike. I didn't even think about that. I mean, as soon as we get off this call, I'm going and I'm looking. I'm going to see if there is one. I'm going to join it. If there's not, I'm going to create it.
And here's the thing: the way you want to name them, in an ideal world, you would name, running marathons for dummies is different than over 40 running a marathon versus running my first marathon to um, 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 beating or hitting my best time on a marathon. Those are all like I'm giving you examples of books that I've actually investigated, right? But the point is that one of the best books that a buddy of mine, Frank Kern, who's really good at marketing. I'll give you an example. Frank Kern was sharing a story about Chet Holmes, and he was, I heard a couple things about Chet Holmes' book in the last couple of days, Ultimate Sales Machine. And Chet Holmes passed away, but he used to run high ticket radio online for him and Tony Robbins in order to generate opportunities. And they had a product that they sold, which was a help salespeople really nail down their core story. That's what I think the actual name of it was. But the point is that in the book, one of the guys who ran all of that was having a conversation with this guy named Frank Kern, who's world renowned for digital marketing online. Good friend of mine. And Frank was sharing with me that they were telling him about all these people that used to inquire off radio but couldn't buy. And the title of the call to action used to be from 0 to 100 million. And Kern said, if he would have changed that headline, and it bogged everything down. And he said, if you would have changed it from 5 million to 100 million in revenue, it would have, you would have probably been more efficient. It was pretty brilliant in the recommendation. Hence the reason why his podcast is called Your Next 100 Million or Your Next Million. He doesn't want to work with anybody who's not made $1 million because his stuff is extremely expensive. I can't blame him. And so with you, my point is that's the positioning. You have to give thought to the name, and you want it to be. We were having a conversation, me, him, and probably about 10 of the best marketers in the world, and they ended up sharing what was like the best named book title in the world, and it was like why how I shoot great photos with the 480 Canon X. How I learned to shoot great photos with the Canon 480X in under 30 minutes. And it was like, listen, dude, like that's literally talking to the ideal customer. What camera, time, desire, all of these things are in that. I mean, you can't get more specific on what that book's about. And that's how the community needs to be. To really nail the community, I think you want to nail that naming convention that when they see it, when you type it into search inside Facebook and there's 10 of them, you want it to be perfect. I saw another one a long time ago, which was about vacations. And one of the someone had started a Facebook group on, and it was a great analogy. I don't remember it exactly, but it had to do with the best place, like there was 2 examples on Facebook groups, right? Let me see if I can find it real quick. Give me 2 seconds. Facebook groups, communities, vacations. And what happened was, it was basically saying, which was, how by simply naming the group one thing about like insiders about this versus naming it about the worst places to go, right? Like those are there's a difference versus naming, the best places to vacate in Mexico. You know what I'm saying? Think about it. Like there's people that look that up, right? The best things to do on vacation if you're going to Mexico. The Facebook community take you. Oh, the best one was about Disney, like how to have the best, how to do how to do Disney World on a XYZ budget. There was a Facebook group about that. Now think about that. If you're sensitive about budget, and one's about, hey, everything to do in Disney, and one says everything to do in Disney with the family of 4 with a budget of X, Y. Which group you join in, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that was extremely interesting based upon just the overall way. And the only reason I say that is because you need to be thinking of your stuff that way. You need to be thinking of what your naming is, what you're running up against, who your competitors are, and and think about what that needs to be if you were gonna run an ad, and someone was just gonna see the name of the group. They need to be able to say, oh, I gotta join that group. So anyway, that's all I have to add there.
Well, and one particular point that I want to mention earlier when you brought up Nextdoor, I think the more granular you get, the more success you'll have. By focusing on a neighborhood. For me, Nextdoor is a bigger geography than just my neighborhood, and so we'll get a lot of things, lost cats, lost dogs, for things that are several miles away that really don't make any sense. To talk about, oh, there was some crime, a break in. Well, that was 10 miles away, but I'm getting the feed in my Nextdoor, even though it's supposed to be based on geographic location. So I think really nailing down neighborhoods is my suggestion on where to start. And I did look, there's only a Facebook page for my neighborhood. I'm just shocked about that. So there's no neighborhood group for my neighborhood, which will be solved here shortly.
Yeah, and you can link them to a page. So here's the thing. In closing, you should definitely have a Facebook community. You can start at the city or the neighborhood level. Think about the name. You want to make sure you're posting regularly, basically to ensure that there's always content to discuss. You want to share other people's content other than your own and engage with it. Make sure you use the Facebook features like Facebook Live to really build those relationships and that face recognition that you'll have. And I think that there's a lot of great content that you can share of other people's. And last, one of the best things you could do, and especially if you get sponsors who want to advertise in your community, it doesn't have to be a lot. $97 a month. You could have one person be featured every single month. Drive to the closest Chinese restaurant or something of that nature, but use ads to attract new members in the neighborhood. And so if it were me, I'd create a custom audience and promote it on Facebook. And with that being said, man, that's really, I think that's a good introduction to why and some things to consider on how to help grow your real estate business by not spitting in the ocean, but becoming the Incredible Hulk in a puddle.
Love it.
All right. Well, like we always say, we want to help you guys build your business in a way that works harder for you than you do for it. So remember to not just work in your business,
to work on it.